a lot of the work that you do actually entails helping people maybe find their dream home, the perfect area, the perfect house. Tell us a little bit about maybe how you help people really find that perfect specimen of property and the perfect home. I mean, how does that whole process work?
Well, I mean, it's different for everybody and depends on the area. And certainly, I mean, if they're looking for resale right now, the inventory is so tight that, I mean, I'm going straight to sellers to say, hey, do you want to sell, blah, blah, blah. But I'm also seeing a lot more vacant lots selling, and a lot more clients. With the experience I've got, having built a number of homes, having done a lot of development, and, my engineering background, I'm kind of able to help guide them into, hey, this is a good lot, this is a bad lot. And so they're ended up building their dream house since it's not necessarily on the market.
Not currently there.
Yeah, exactly. And not everybody goes down that path. I mean, we're having a lot of success. I've got 14 in escrow right now. I mean, that gives you an idea that, there's a lot of business still happening. But, I'm having a lot of success finding the resales, but every once in a while, I mean, I just sold a lot across the street from me. They're going to have a sweet view, beach rights, boat launch in the neighborhood, all kinds of things. I mean, it's an ideal setup, and we just could not find a resale that met their needs.
If it's right in front of you, you're going to make sure it's short enough as to not block your view?
Yeah. It's actually across the street and up the hill a little bit,
okay.
So the good thing is I have a party once a year with a live band, so they can, stumble on home. I don't have to worry about them driving.
There you go. So. Well, in creating this, of course, or picking the perfect area, most people think location. Is that really where somebody has to start, is where they want to be?
I think without a doubt, that's huge. And the location is, I mean, there's so many factors on location, but, schools, if they want views, if they want, a particular neighborhood, that type of thing. And, the old saying is location, followed by drainage. And, when you're looking at a lot, especially, that's super critical.
So what goes into a lot that makes it perfect? I mean, other than location, but whether if you're just out there and you're trying to figure out what that good lot is, how do you pick it?
Well, and there's so much that goes into it. There's a lot of engineering work that you need to look at, or hire a consultant to take a look at the lot. Some of them are very easy. I've got a couple in Sammamish that I've, short platted that, I mean, the water and sewer connections are right there. The footprint's right there. I mean, you just walk up and you've got an easy one. Mm-hmm. Some of them, I've got one in Sammamish right now as well, septic design. It's about a $25,000 system. There's some work that needs to be done to massage that. Another one that's got, some slope topography issues, and everybody's tripping over themselves to get to this lot because it's only $155,000 with a view of the lake. Well, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's $155,000 with a view of the lake because somebody's got to take some time and work.
It's just not quite ready.
Yeah, and it'll get there, but someone needs to put some time and effort into getting it there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'd be another $100,000 higher.
Sure. So what is that process like then? I mean, once you find your the perfect lot, whether it needs drainage or I guess has drainage, but no matter what it needs or if it meets your needs, what are those next steps in order to getting that dream home built?
Well, I mean, the first step is you get it under contract, right? And then that contract includes a feasibility phase, and depending on how much work is needed that changes how long that feasibility time frame is. And I've got one right now, a commercial property, that the feasibility is a year. So depending on how complex it is, sometimes that process can take a while. But then when you're in that feasibility, you bring in your septic designer, if you need it, your architect, your engineer to, survey the property, know the boundaries, geotech, wetlands, biologists. I mean, you've got all these different trades you have to bring in. There are not very many agents that
How many wetland biologists are out there, by the way? Probably more than I think.
Yeah, well, and frankly, more than I'd like,
Sure.
So the other thing to consider is each municipality is different and their turn time's different. So, depending on where you build, sometimes it's a quick process, sometimes it's a slow process.
Mm-hmm. And so once you've kind of established that, the lot's there, you've gone through kind of this process, I mean, do you I guess you have to start picking people, right? I mean,
yeah.
Because, of course, you're not going to probably be pounding the nails. You're probably not going to architect it yourself unless, of course, you're an architect. So you really do have to start going down the path of finding a lot of people.
Yeah, you do. I mean, that's That's the downside to doing the occasional land deal, is that it takes a lot of time on my end because I'm giving out a lot of referrals. And most of the time, if you've never built a house, the best thing you can do is tie yourself in with a good builder and have them really help you get all the subs lined up. You know, they charge a management fee, but they'll line up the subs. They can even help with the architect, you know, in every step of the process, getting the lot ready, doing all that type of thing. Because really, as an agent, I frankly don't have time to run them through everything.
Well, it's not your profession either. I mean,
right.
Is it almost, would you say it's imperative to have somebody in your corner? I mean, I guess like the builder, which I guess is a general contractor, to really help you through that whole process? I know some people try to do it themselves, but I mean, these are pretty important trades that people spend a lot of time perfecting.
Yeah, and it's funny that, you know, it's just like any industry, right? I mean, some people have actually perfected it, and some people you're like, really?
How did
I
you
understand
get here?
you have a pickup truck and you got a magnetic thing you put on the side, but, you know, maybe you ought to put, you know, handyman or something instead of general contractor. But I do think it's important to, if you've never built a house before, to have a general contractor.
It sounds like that would go without saying. I mean, if you haven't built a house before, you should not be the one in charge of building your house.
Right. Well, unless you want a divorce.
Right.
I mean, I hate to say it, but, you know, be careful what you wish for in some realms. You know, I've...
some guys and gals out there are like,
Yeah. Well, and I've seen it happen. I mean, I've seen it happen in this business a number of times where people will get together and they'll say, hey, you know, we're going to get a house and that's going to solve all our problems. No, that just adds more debt to the problem.
Right.
So, you know.
Which then creates more problems.
Yeah. Consider your choices on that. But, I mean, in my case, I hired a consultant on the last properties we did a development on instead of hiring an actual general contractor. But, you know, I've got a engineering
history.
Yeah, I've done 6 houses. I've got an engineering degree. My wife is building construction management with an industrial engineering degree. So it was more of a, hey,
so
I need
neither
somebody.
of you guys are computer developers at Microsoft. You think you should be building a house.
Right. No. Well, and that's the other thing is, how much time do you have? I mean, it's easier to build a house if you're retired, to be perfectly blunt. If you're not retired and you don't have the time to go to the site when they need you, it's a lot more difficult to build a house.
Sure. When you start going through all the process, I mean, how many different aspects are, if you were to be your own general contractor, try it yourself, I guess, how many different things are there? I mean, whether it's the permits or inspections or all the utilities, I mean, there must just be a laundry list.
Oh, yeah. Typically, I'll have a book or file on a property that's 4 inches thick.
I mean,
probably,
appliances.
3 inches thick. Yeah, I mean, you just kind of learn as you go where to source things. But the one thing I would tell you is when you hire a general contractor, if you hire a good one, they know the good subs that are reasonably priced. They know
if they're available or not.
Right, if they're available, if they're going to honor their commitment, if they're going to do a good job, if they're going to, you know, be priced appropriately. A lot of times if you're trying to do it yourself, yes, you can save money if you're good at that. But most of the people that build a house themselves end up spending more than if they'd hired a professional to do it.
Sure. I mean, just the mistakes you make. I mean, the take 2 steps forward, 1 back, 2 forward, 1 back would also, as you said, cause some strife with your marriage.
Yeah. And
as well as with your wallet.
Yeah. Yeah. And timing. You know, I mean, I've built houses that it only took me 3 months from, you know, the dirt. We got the dirt ready. We put in the foundation, cranked it up. The house was done in 3 months. How they do it in a week on that TV show is a mystery to me. But 3 months was cranking.
You're talking about a home, what is it, on ABC or whatever? Extreme Home Makeover, where 500 people come and build a house in a week?
Yeah, I kind of wait to, I've seen a couple of them and they're still standing, but I've always thought, do they walk away and the whole thing just goes poof, just falls over.
Right after the bus drives away, everything falls down.
Yeah, they honk the horn and the whole thing goes like a house of cards.
Sure. Cory, is there any other big considerations that people should have when picking a lot and actually building their dream home on it?
The biggest thing I would say is, do they have a stomach for it? Because it is not like, hey, we're just going to move into this new house. Moving's hard enough. But a building process, I mean, you can count on it taking a year because you're going to have the plans, the permits, you're going to have all the, the construction that needs to happen. And the bigger the house, the longer it'll take. So, I mean, really, look at your spouse if you're married, look in the mirror, look at your kids, decide whether or not it's truly your dream to do it.
My wife and I have decided there's no way we could ever build a house together because the decision process, I mean, how many decisions have to go into this? And, it's hard enough. I saw a great thing on Facebook. It's hard enough to figure out where you want to go to dinner, right? You say to your wife or husband, hey, where do you want to go? Oh, I don't care. And you name 12 restaurants and they say, I'll have anything but any of the 12 places you just named.
Right.
So, I mean, you imagine that many different choices that you would have on a house. It's like, yeah, I don't care what the granite countertops are as long as it's none of those.
Yeah. No, my wife and I, on our last big remodel, everything was going great until the light fixture in the kitchen. And when I brought the 5th light fixture home and she didn't like it, I started ramping up. And it takes a while for me to ramp up. And the contractor was there. And I'm 6'4", and this contractor I had hired is about 6'6". And he goes, whoa, calm down. You've made it. This is the last thing. Just go out to dinner, have a couple glasses of wine, and then figure it out together. And he was right. I mean, it was...
I hope you have a tall couch too, Cory.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I do, actually.